Hello my lovely Flosstube friends. Yep, it's me. I decided I was sitting here stitching all by my little lonesome, and I thought to myself, do you know what? I keep saying I'm going to do more stitch with me's, yet I do insist on just sitting there and stitching all by my little Larry lonesome. So I'm like, this is a perfect opportunity. The house is quiet, all barring the fact that I've got the window open because it's so humid over here today. So that's the background noise you'll hear. But I thought, you know what? It really is about time that I went and had a natter and rambled to my fellow Flosstube community because, yeah, I've obviously spent far too much time on my own. So as you can see, today I am working on my Heaven and Earth design by Peacocks Lagoon. Here is what it will look like if it ever gets completed in my lifetime. And it is a bit of a big one because it's 18 inches by 24.5 if it ever gets completed. And I've been working on this for about 3 days now. Yeah, I think it's had about 3 days worth of love. So this is its last day of love. So I thought, you know what? Let's go ramble with the Flosstube friends. So as you can see, I've got some of the moon done up here. Let me just orientate you where we're stitching so you've got an idea. So that portion there was here. So we're working on this bit over here. It is a bit blocky, admittedly. But yeah, so that's where we're at. I'm stitching this on a 25 count even weave magic guide. And I'm doing it 2/1 in half stitch because it's a lot faster. And I have to say it is a lot faster. But I've got to point this out because not that I'm worried about it, but I'm confused. So if you look over here, there's a lot of green, don't you think? And then when I look on here, I don't see any green. So yeah, I have no idea whether that's right or not, but it is what it is, and it's staying that way. So that's what it's having, because that's what it says it's supposed to have. And I have checked the colours to make sure that I haven't picked the wrong colours, but that is definitely the right colours. But yeah, very, very strange. I'm sure it'll all mingle and blend correctly at the end. So let me see if I can squeeze you down. There we go. So that you can get nice and close to my stitching. I think I need to be nice and close to my stitching as well. Okay, so where am I? Let me quickly just get my bearings. See, it's already started. Okay, so yeah, there we go. So yeah, I'm not sure about the green. Well, I say I'm not sure about it. There's not really much I can do about it. It's already in there, and that is what it's saying it's called for. So if that is what it says it's called for, then well, then that's what I'm going to stitch, and that's that. But this one seems to be stitching up really, really fast because of the whole half stitch thing. Admittedly, though, I am stitching in sort of quite a lot of blocks. So it's not like confetti heavy at the top where the moon was. So maybe that's why it's moving so fast. But even I was surprised how much I managed to achieve in 3 days. But saying that, I am stuck at home, all sort of, you know, laid up. So I'm sitting there stitching for hours rather than just for an hour, which definitely makes these projects move a little faster. But I have been watching the Olympics this morning, so I did that to see how we're doing. And then it was, I don't know, the weather's a little strange over here at the moment. So we had this massive heat wave last week, which was glorious, of which I spent the entire time out on the deck. I did do some stitching on the deck, before you ask. I was going to post some pictures on Instagram. I think I only did one in the end, but I did actually sit out there and do a fair amount of stitching. But I'm really not very good with this whole social media thing, the whole Facebook and Instagram thing. Every now and then I'll put something up, but I always forget, if I'm honest. I do go on there and look at other people's, but even then I just sort of scroll through. It's really odd. It's really odd how I'll do things like Flosstube and YouTube, but social media, not so much. But I think that's because I tend to find, I don't know if you're like this. Yeah, well, see, I told you I was going on a ramble already. It's already started, people. I'm sorry. So, all those people that go on social media, the problem I have is if I go on there, I sort of get sucked in. And before I know it, you know when you're sort of sitting there thinking, oh, I'll just have a quick look. And before I know it, I've done nothing. I've achieved nothing. I've done nothing. I've done no stitching. I've just sat there and just sat on my phone scrolling or commenting. And then by the time it's actually time for me to do something, I'm like, I can't really be bothered now. Or it's too late. So yeah, so I tend to find that social media and me don't mix. I mean, normally when I'm at work, I just don't have time. If I was to sit and look at social media like Facebook and Instagram all the time, I'd never get anything done at all, including housework. And yeah, I know, housework's always going to be there. It's not going away. It's really not going away, but I do have to do it. I can't just leave it. So yeah, so I'm pretty useless on the whole social media thing. But I was out in the garden for most of last week in that glorious sunshine with the spot stitching when I wasn't lounging. But then this week, it was like all of a sudden, the sun went in. The humidity's still here. So, I mean, it's not as hot. I mean, we got up to about, I don't know, 30, 32 degrees, something like that. It was a bit too hot, if I'm honest. Even for me, it was roasting. I'm going to finish my threads on the front purely because it's just a nightmare to keep turning the work whilst I'm trying to record this. You won't know this, but I just got rudely interrupted by my pattern keeper that went on a little mini meltdown there, so I'm back again. I was saying something about social media, wasn't I? And now it's gone. I have no idea what it was that I was saying. Oh, that was what I was doing. Oh dear, see people, it's already starting. The confusion, I'm confusing myself. Okay, let's just cut that short so that I know that's a towel. So yeah, the weather here has been strange because last week it was a heat wave, and when I say a heat wave, it was a heat wave with sun, which was glorious, but almost to the point that it was just too hot. I mean, I actually had like an industrial fan out in the garden with me blowing on me whilst I was laying in the sun because it was that hot. But that was lovely. But then this week, it's still warm. So it's still sort of up there like 21 degrees. But it's humid. Like it's a really humid heat. But it's really odd because there's certain parts of the country that are getting flash floods and big storms. And then there's people like me who live in the little sunny south area that, you know, I watch all the storms go past. I see them going off to everybody else, but none come here. So, I mean, I've had a small amount of rain, but no big thunderstorms, no big floods, no big anything really, if I'm honest. Which right now, with the way that the temperature is and the humidity, a good storm is really what we need right now to clear the air. But it doesn't look destined for me at all. So I think I'm just going to have to stick with the humidity. But the weather it's to the point that it's hot and muggy, but it's cloudy. So you've got to have all the doors and windows open, but it's not sunny. So perfect opportunity to come back indoors and just sit and do some stitching, since there's not really much else that I can do, given that, where are we at today? Today is Tuesday the 27th, is it? Yeah, Tuesday the 27th of July. So it is 3 weeks and 1 day since my surgery. And I've still got another 3 weeks of non-weight bearing to go. That's before we get to the bit where I can start sort of putting some weight through the hip. So yeah, I mean, in some respects I'm like, it's starting to tell now, but then in other respects it's like, I can't believe it was like almost I blinked and 3 weeks has gone past. So I can't make up my mind whether I think that's fast or not fast. But yeah, it's we're definitely heading in the right direction, but I am getting a bit bored of just sort of having to hobble around everywhere now. That bit's a bit boring. Because that's the thing, there's one thing being at home. I'm totally enjoying the whole being at home thing and not having to go to work and not work from home. But being at home and not actually being able to do much of anything is not so much fun, especially for me, because, well, it's fine if it's sunny, but even for me, it's like there's only so much sunbathing I want to do. I keep wanting to go out and do stuff in the garden, but I'm not supposed to. But she says that's not stopped me. So what day was it? I can't even remember what day it was. I went out in the garden, and it was just before the bad weather was coming in. So, you know, the weather forecasted that we was getting some unpleasant weather coming in, and my dahlias are just getting to like budding, and they're like a nice good size, but I hadn't staked them all. I hadn't sort of like got them all so that they were all protected. And they did say that we might get some sort of some wind and really heavy rain. So I thought, well, if that happens, my poor little dahlias are gonna get sort of like knocked and bashed around. So they need sort of a bit more staking. Oh, did I really just do that? I did just do that, people. So they need to be staked. And there was like, hubby had gone away for the weekend, so it was just me here. So I was like, it can't be that difficult to go out there and, you know, with my crutches and just sort of like, as long as I've got everything at hand and I don't put any weight through my actual leg, it should be fine. It's okay, so I've got all my stuff out there. It took forever just to get the stakes over to the flower bed, and a hammer, and string, and the scissors. And then get myself onto the bed with all that stuff without sort of crushing all the flowers. So I managed to do that, and then started staking with these. I mean, I've got a couple of some really good canes, but then I've also got some really flimsy ones. But at the time, it didn't dawn on me to sort of look at the sizing of the canes. So I've done nothing more than just sort of started knocking the canes in with a hammer. The only problem was the canes were a little flimsy, and as I've gone to hit one of the cane sort of bent underneath where my hand was, and I actually hit myself with the hammer in my hand. So I don't know if you can see it now, but yeah, there's my, let me whiz you out. So there's my rather big bruise. See, that one hasn't got it. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, so needless to say, I did a little dance on the flower bed because it hurt so much. And I was like, oh no, because that was the thing, because I went to use my hand to crutch myself off of the flower bed, but my hand was tingling so bad and was so sore where I'd hit it with this hammer. And this big sort of like, I don't know if it was a vein or something, but something big all came up on my hand, and I'm like, oh no, oh no, what have I done? It was one of them moments where you're like, this is not the time to go and break your hand, Teresa, because you need it. You really need it when you're on crutches. So yeah, I had to wait for the pain to subside before I could bring myself to to use my hand to crutch myself off the flower bed. Needless to say, I did not continue staking any of the dahlias at that point, because it was like, nope, that's definitely not what to do. So so I had to wait for hubby to get home and then give him instruction. So I gave him lots of instructions of how to do it, but only me. But this is it, you know that you're not supposed to do things like that, or you know when you've got an injury or you're recovering from a surgery, and they give you all the guidance, and they say just take it easy, rest. I mean, for me, there's only so much rest a girl can do, and there's only so much sitting about I could do, especially when I can see all the things that need to be done. I mean, obviously I wouldn't go and jump up on the roof and try and do anything crazy, but that was my own sort of risk assessment. My risk assessment was, oh, what's the worst that can happen? I can fall over and land in the flowers. That was my vision of like what was the worst thing that could happen to me. But no, I didn't anticipate the hammer hitting episode. That wasn't a risk assessment that I took into consideration. So needless to say, for about a day and a half, I didn't even want to crutch anywhere because my hand hurt so bad. That made me sit still. I behaved myself then. But yeah, so this whole sort of, being laid up it's difficult to behave yourself, well, especially me, with the flowers. But I did learn from my lesson, and I've been very good ever since then. So for those of you that are just about to be like, Teresa, follow the rules. I know. It's all very good advice. Trust me, I am behaving myself now. So yeah. But because of all that, I mean, I had plans. Because the weather was nice, I was waiting for the weather to cool off to a more amicable temperature so that I could take Mum out. And we sort of said we'd go, there's a place called Morden Promenade where we could go. She could have a scooter in the back of the car so that she can, use the electric scooter to get about. And that we'd just go for a Menenda and go for a stroll. Because we're both sort of the opinion that, although going to the shops is fine, with the whole sort of everyone's gone crazy because they're allowed out, my mum's not confident or comfortable going to our local shopping centre, because it is a shopping centre. It's sort of undercover, so it's all indoors, which is great for the wet weather. But yeah, it's not great when sort of all the restrictions have been lifted and everyone's just sort of super close and super cuddly, if you like, all indoors doing their shopping. So, and plus, I said to my mum, it's gorgeous weather out there. We never get an opportunity to go and do something, just for the sake of going and doing something. So I said, this is perfect opportunity. So the plan was that we was going to go off out. Hold on, people. I'm just working out where I'm at. Why is that in there? Did I put that in there? I did, didn't I? Put it in the wrong hole, I think. Oh no, I didn't. It's okay. Ignore me. So I said, it's lovely weather. It's a perfect opportunity to go off out. But out. But then because obviously it was so hot, it was like, well, now's not the time to be taking her off out, because the last thing I need is my mum getting heat stroke, or me for that matter. So I was like, well, no, we won't go out while it's too hot. But as soon as like the temperature becomes, sunny but amicable, we'll go out tats. So the plan was that we was going to go out tomorrow, and we was going to go for a walk along the promenade and maybe stop at one of the cafes and get a cup of tea. But then the weather forecast has just popped up to say that it's going to be absolutely tipping it down with rain tomorrow. Would you believe it? I'm like, really? It's had all this time to do that, and now it's going to do it. So yeah, so I popped down to Mum this morning and said, you know that little shopping trip we was going on? She was like, yeah. Well, not shopping trip, but, you know, outing we was going on tomorrow. I was like, I think we need to postpone it at least until Thursday. And she was like, yeah, I saw the weather forecast. She said, no, I was thinking the same thing. She said, have you researched it? Did you Google it? So I was like, what do you mean? She was like, well, you know, did you go and sort of do a recce so that, you know, we know what's where? And so I was like, no, I didn't do that. I said, did you do that? And she was like, yeah, I did. And she went, and there's not very many places where you could just sort of dive in if there's like a shower. You know, like when it starts raining, quickly dive in under cover. She said there isn't anything like that. So I was like, oh, okay then. All right. I said, well, we'll aim for Thursday then, because I think the idea is that Thursday is supposed to be part sunny, part cloudy, but no rain. So I think that's what we're going to be doing on Thursday. And it gives me an opportunity to go and stretch my legs. Obviously on crutches. Totally behaving myself. But it's just going to be nice to get off out and do something. And to be honest, I mean, as much as, you know, I'm no different to the next person. I don't mind a bit of shopping, but I'm not a retail junkie. Stitching junkie, yes. But definitely not a retail junkie. And well, since this whole lockdown thing, I've actually really enjoyed doing my shopping online. Because it's just less hassle. You know, if I want to try something on, I just get 2 or 3 of the same size and just have it delivered to my house. So much easier. So yeah. So, but that's the plan for a little outing this week, if the weather plays ball, of course, because it's always nice for the weather to behave itself. But tomorrow I've got my physio appointment, so we'll go and see what he says. Because if I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, I'm sure he said that around now I can go on like a stationary bike and I can do certain exercises just as long as I'm not actually putting my weight through the hip. I'm pretty sure that was what he said. So if that's the case, at least I can go down the gym and, you know, jump on a static bike and do half an hour of sort of cycling, because at the moment I feel like I'm just not moving at all. Which is not boding well, not for me. Okay, where are we? Let me park him in there. So yeah, so hopefully good news at the physio tomorrow, so that I can start doing just a little bit of stuff. I mean, saying that, if the sun comes out, I won't want to go anyway because it will just be too hot. No one wants to go in a gym when it's that hot, especially my gym. And then I want to just take full advantage of the sun in the garden. But at the moment, there's nothing on the forecast for any amazing weather. So what else to tell you? What else has happened? Oh yeah, that was what I was going to tell you. So my husband went away racing on the weekend. It's been booked up for ages. So I was like, yeah, it's fine. You head off out, you know, go and do your racing. So I turned around and said to him, you know, have you checked with the renderers when they're coming? I was like, because we really do need to get the rest of the house done. So we had the downstairs part of the side wall that needed rendering, and the top new extension, like the the loft conversion. The top on the back needed its top coat. So I said, can you check with them when they're coming? So he's like, yeah, all right. He said, I'll look into it and find out when they're coming. Anyway, he turned around and said, oh, I've checked with them and they're coming on the weekend, or Friday, Saturday. So I was like, oh, all right then. So I had it in my head, I had it planned in my head that I was like, because hubby had already said that he was going to be away on the weekend, I had it in my head that that was a perfect opportunity if he's away to do like another Stitch With Me live, because I thoroughly enjoy those, because I actually have someone to talk to and people ask me questions and we can have a laugh and a joke. I just find it easier than sort of sitting here rambling. So I thought, well, that's perfect. You know, if he's away, I can sit in the garden, enjoy the sunshine, and then do like a Stitch With Me live later in the evening. Seems as I'm sort of here on my little lonesome. But then when he turned around and said, oh, the renderers are coming Friday, Saturday, I was like, that's fine, because the renders will be gone by, I don't know, 4 or 5 o'clock at the very latest. So anyway, they turned up on Friday. Love them. And they've done an amazing job. You know, they've laid all the sheets out down the sideway to make sure it doesn't go on my granite paving. But then they started taping up the windows. So they used like, it's like a cellophane, like high, you know, industrial cellophane to protect the windows. Which is great, because I'm like, yeah, that's, you know, they've been very cautious with the, you know, with the house and not ruining the windows with the render. However, the cellophane was blue. So you can't, at this point, you can't open a window when it's really humid. And everything inside is like tinged in a blue hue. But I was like, oh, it's fine, you know, it's only for today and tomorrow. But then it dawned on me and I was like, hold on a minute, blue tinge. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, I was gonna stream. But with the blue tinge stuff on the windows, how am I going to stream? Because it changes the colour, like it changes the colour in the room. It makes it really difficult to sort of get any serious light into the house or into the room. So I was like, oh, okay. So I obviously I couldn't live stream during the day anyway because they were here. But then even in the evening, I don't know why, but by having that blue tinge stuff on the windows, it changed all the colours in the house, like in the room. So I was like, well, there's no way I can live stream with that up there. And I was like, oh, it's fine, you know, I'll do it during the week. So then when it gets to the end of Friday, and they'd sort of done the downstairs gable end, they put the scratch coat on. But that was as far as they got. So I said to him, I said, oh, right. So I said, are you coming back tomorrow? And he went, I don't think so. So he said, have you seen the weather forecast? So anyway, he showed me the weather forecast. I was like, oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, okay. Maybe I won't see you tomorrow then. And he left all of the stuff down on the floor, all of the blue cellophane on the windows. So the whole one side of the house, you can't open a window. And the cement mixer down the sideway. So then my mum can't get out either, even if she wanted to on her scooter, because she can't get past the cement mixer, but because Darren's away. So anyway, as it panned out to be, it did rain for most of the morning on the Saturday. So I was like, well, that makes total sense why they didn't come back. Because he did say, well, if it's not raining in the morning, he said, then we'll come back. But anyway, he didn't come back. So I was like, well, that's fair enough. But no one can get down the sideway. So my mum couldn't go out even if she wanted to. The blue cellophane's still on the windows. So we couldn't open the windows. But obviously it was, although it had rained, it was still really humid. So I was like, well, I can't sit in there anyway. Even if I did, you know, put up with the blue tinge, I still can't sit in there because it's too hot. So then Sunday comes, and Sunday was actually quite a nice day. It wasn't bad at all. But they didn't turn up on the Sunday. So then Monday comes, and I said to my husband, like, because by the time he's got home, and he was like, oh, it looks great, didn't it? I said, yeah, it looks great. I said, but they've left the cellophane up at the windows. I said, I can't open the windows to my study, or to the bathroom, or to Lauren's bathroom. So I was like, the bathrooms I'm not too worried about. I said, but my office, I said, I need the window to open. And then I'm sort of sitting there thinking, well, you know, when are they coming back? So I said, can you do me a favour and text them when they're coming back? I said, because obviously I don't mind leaving the cellophane on the windows, like the blue tinge on the windows for a day or so, or a couple of days. I said, but if it's going to be anything more than that, I said, I'm going to need to take this cellophane off. I said, because, yeah, there's just a whole ton of cellophane. So anyway, he got a text message back yesterday to say that they're not coming back until towards the end of the week. So I said to him, I said, you need to take that cellophane off then. I said, I can't leave that like that. I said, because I can't record. I said, I can't do any streaming. I can't record. I said, because I do need some actual natural light into the house, into the room. And it's just too hot to sit in there. So anyway, hubby was out there this morning removing the blue cellophane from my window. We've left it on everywhere else because it's just pointless trying to take it off for them to put it back on again when they do come back. So I think they're due to come back towards the end of the week. But I'm saying that, but when I've looked at the weather forecast says that it's supposed to be raining on the weekend, on Saturday and Sunday. So, you know, when you're like, well, does that mean they're not coming back? Who knows? So, although we've got some of the, well, now that we've got everything scratch coated, we still haven't got a finish coat on any of it. And it's just the mess. It's the mess that goes with it. Because it's like, you know, they leave all of their cement mixer and their, you know, protectors down on the floor, which where it's been raining, it's just going, oh, yuck. So I'm just like, oh. And well, you know what it's like. I say I'm not patient. I am patient, but then you wait so long to get everything done or to get bits done, and you show your patience there, that when someone comes in and starts the work and it's still like in its, what I call it, working phase, I'm not sure I'm as patient then. And I don't know why. There's really no excuse for it, but I really don't feel like I have the same level of patience, because I'm just like, I want it done now. So yeah. So needless to say, the reason that I didn't live stream earlier on the weekend was because of this whole blue tinge, and the fact that I couldn't do it through the day because the renderers were here, and then yeah, the blue tinge was a problem for me. But there's no excuse now, no excuse whatsoever. So I'm going to wait and see what hubby's up to this weekend. I think he's racing again this weekend. So if he is, I might live stream this weekend coming, maybe. Depends. See, I can never commit to anything because I never know what's going to happen next. It does seem to be that way, that just all of a sudden something will happen and come out of the blue. But yeah, it's all up in the air, really. But we have made some good decisions for the extension. So the loft conversion is still moving forwards, so to speak. The staircase is now ordered. So I'm just waiting for a staircase to turn up. So that should be, I think, 2 to 3 weeks from now, we should have a staircase turn up. And if the window company don't fail miserably again, she says, the glazing units for the windows should be here on Friday this week. So I may actually become watertight, which allows me then to sort of take a breath, because every time it rains, although I'm wishing for rain because we need something to sort of clear the air here because it's just so hot, I'm sort of dreading rain, because if it goes from anything being anything other than just a little bit of rain, I could flood downstairs because we've got no windows up there. So yeah, the old saying, be careful what you wish for. And right now I am really careful of what I'm wishing for after seeing some of what's happening in the world. So here in the UK, we've had some serious floods in London and over on the west. So yeah, it's you sort of see that and it's like, actually a bit of humidity is fine. We can cope with humidity, because the last thing I need is to flood my house. Alright, where am I at? Okay, let's... What's that? Hold on, people. I'm navigating the chart on my pattern keeper, which I have to say is a total deal breaker. I'm loving the pattern keeper. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So yeah, loving pattern keeper. I mean, I've been using it for quite some time now, but it is definitely good for my full coverage. I haven't used it for anything else. So I think I tried to put my long dog sampler, Castles in the Air. I think I tried to load that into it, and I failed miserably. And I know that there are some people that have said, you have to do a certain thing or do something different to get those in. I couldn't be bothered. So I'm between. I work between GoodNotes for anything that I can't load into or anything that isn't full coverage. So all full coverage is now being done using Pattern Keeper, and all of my other charts are all loaded PDF into GoodNotes. But for those that do full coverage, this Pattern Keeper app is very good. Someone did mention to me, I can't remember who it was. Who was it? I can't remember now. But someone mentioned that there's now an Apple software which is sort of similar to Pattern Keeper. I did have a little look at it. I think it's called AR, is it, or something? I don't know. It's on my phone. Or did I download it onto... Oh, I've done it on my iPad. Hold on, let me get my iPad. Fingers crossed I can do this without knocking you everywhere. Oh, nearly. That was a close call. So it was called... So it's Markup RXP. Is that the one? Yeah. That is it. So I've loaded it onto my iPad. And I did sort of have a little look and had a little attempt at it, but yeah, I didn't have enough time to really spend any time working it out. I don't know if anyone else has actually tried using it yet, but when I tried to use it, it was a little clunky. I'll just point that out from my own personal experience. But like I say, I didn't really spend a ton of time working with it, but I still don't think it's even remotely on the same level as the Pattern Keeper is. The Pattern Keeper is sort of like a piece de resistance for the whole full coverage stitching. Just makes it so much easier. I mean, it's even a lot easier than using my GoodNotes, and I always like, you know, my GoodNotes was like the most amazing thing in the world. What would we do without our technology these days? It's hard to believe that we used to do anything without the technology, admittedly. I've not been stitching that enough years that it was only charts from paper form. I've always had the ability to use PDFs and electronic devices to read them, because I'm not sure that I'm not sure I could work from a paper chart, if I'm honest. Purely because of my eyes. I mean, my eyesight is shocking. I mean, well, here's an example of the problems, my first world problems that I'm having currently. So when was it? It must have been pre-lockdown. It was pre-lockdown. So pre-lockdown, I've always worn contact lenses. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've always worn contact lenses. And although I wore contact lenses, I only ever wore them for sort of distance. So, but also for my computers. But I think at the time, they sort of had it so that it was ranged more towards sort of far distance, middle distance, and sort of like computers at like arm's length type. And I had obviously my contact lenses are set that way, as well as my glasses. And then the last time that I went in, which was pre-lockdown, or pre-COVID, I think, and I went for my eye test, I was having some issues, so they changed my prescription and basically said that it was because although my distance hadn't really changed very much, my like computer work was slightly altered. So when I explained to them, I said, well, that's fine. I said, but the problem is, I said, as soon as I sit down to do my hobby, which is stitching, as soon as I try and sit down to do my stitching, I said, I can't see. I said, I feel like I'm blind. I said, so is there a way to sort of, you know, and they said, yeah, we can use like a varifocal. So I went, well, how does that work? So I said, well, your glasses is not a problem because we can switch you over to a varifocal, which will basically cover your, you know, your distance viewing. It will cover your distance, your middle distance, and like close work. So I was like, all right, okay then, that sounds like a plan. And then they said, but for your contact lenses, what we can do, we can make it so that one eye does your distance and one eye does your closer sort of distance. I mean, it's still distance because it's not, I don't have any problems reading up close. So my reading prescription hasn't really changed. So I was like, oh. I said, well, I noticed. And he went, well, initially it might take you a little while to get used to it. He said, but most people find that it's, you know, it's the answer. And I sort of saw the point because it was like, well, what if I don't do that? They said, well, the only other option you've got is you wear your contact lenses for your distance, but you put your glasses on for the close-up work. So I said, but I don't need glasses for close-up work. They said, but no, you will need glasses for close-up if you've got your contact lenses in, because obviously your contact lenses are adjusting your eyes so that you can see further. So, you know, when you're like, oh, okay then. So I was like, well, what do you think? And he went, well, I think you should try that. He said, because that'll be that all sort of like, he said, the whole point of wearing contact lenses is so that you don't have to wear glasses. So he said, if we don't do it like this, he said, no matter which way you look at it, as soon as you sit down to do, you know, read anything or do your stitching, he said, you'll need to put some glasses on. So I was like, all right then. So I went with it. And to be honest, I mean, my glasses are not too bad. I mean, they're not perfect, but they're really not too bad at all. So I can deal with those, but the contact lenses, oh my, I just can't wear them. I mean, I can wear them if I'm not stitching or I'm not going to read my eye. But I say my glasses are fine. My glasses are fine until I try and read my phone. So if I'm laying in bed and I've got my glasses on because I can't see anything else, I still have to put my glasses on top of my head to read my phone because the phone is closer. So it's almost like the closer items are to me, the less I can see them. And it's not even it's not even just my phone. It's like anything. So yeah, it's a problem. It is a problem. So now they've decided that my prescription has changed quite a lot this time. So they said, actually, your distance, believe it or not, my eyes have got better rather than worse. Get that? I've never even heard of that before. So my strength of my prescription is stronger than it needs to be. So we're going to adjust my prescription to its correct new amount, but leave it with the whole one eye does distance, one eye does close up, to see whether that helps. And then if that doesn't help, then I said to them, I'll trial it with the new prescription in the contact lenses, but if that doesn't work, I said, you're going to have to make it so that my contact lenses are my distance and my glasses are for close up, so that at least that way I can see regardless. Because at the moment, the only thing that I can do so that I can see is wear my glasses. But even then, sometimes when I'm wearing my glasses, if I try and look at something really close, I can't see. And then the woman turned around and said, oh, well, it's probably to do with the varifocal. You know, you need to make sure you're tipping your head enough. And I was like, trust me, I'm stitching, and I'm stitching looking downwards. I said, I can't look any further down. I said, so I know it's not that. I said, it's not to do with the varifocal. I said, because the way I have my stitching set up, it's not up in front of me. It's down. So I said, there's no excuse. I said, it's not that I'm not tipping my head far enough. So, yeah. Who would have thought, you know, they don't tell you these things when you're young and you've got 20/20 vision. Although, I haven't had 20/20 vision for, wow, how long have I been wearing glasses? I think I started wearing glasses when I was at secondary school. So I must have been maybe 13, 12, 13, I started wearing glasses. And I've been wearing glasses ever since. But thankfully, because I'm on a contact lens, my contact lenses are like a monthly subscription. I don't need to pay for those, but the glasses, I need to get the lenses changed. So there's another very fast sort of £70+ gone out the bank account. I must admit, that's one thing I have noticed. And obviously this is all secret, people. This is like total secret. If my husband was to find out about this, he'd kill me. Well, I'd say kill me, it's an over exaggeration, but given that we're in the middle of doing the loft conversion and we're spending money like it's water, I start watching the bank account go tick, 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 and I'm like, wow, look at the money go. Look at it go, wow. Never seen money move so fast. But this whole being at home and not being at work, or having to focus on work when I am at home and just sitting and stitching, it's a little easy to go a little crazy on the stitching supplies, don't you think? I was just like, you know, I've gone months and months. I mean, when I'm saying months, I mean months and months without spending any money whatsoever. And this month alone, it would make your eyes boggle if I told you how much money I've spent on stitching things. Because I mean, I do, how do you put it? I do spend a fair amount of money on the garden. But then my arguing point for the garden is, well, the garden is for all of us, so that's not me, you know. But if the garden doesn't look pretty and beautiful, Darren will be the first one to say, God, we haven't got many flowers. What's going on with the flowers, dear? So, in my opinion, my theory on that is, well, anything that I spend on the garden is for us. But obviously anything that I spend on my stitching is for me. And it's staying that way. I'm not changing my view on that. But because I can't really do anything in the garden. Hold on, I'm counting. 2. So because I'm doing stuff on the garden, no, backtrack, because I'm not doing anything in the garden and I am just sitting and doing a lot of stitching and watching a lot of Flosstube, you've got so much. Honestly, you are responsible for so much, because little miss I have no willpower over here has been totally enabled on a number of different things. And before I know it, you know, I was ordering things like it was going out of fashion. In fact, one of the things that I was looking at, once I saw it, I was like, oh, do you know what? I love that. I'm going to have that. I need to have that. And I need to have all of them, not just one of them. I need all of them. So, Chris, I've gone in search for what I was looking for here in the UK. And I could only get one of, I think it was 4 or 5. That was all I could get my hands on. So, because I was adamant I have to have it. I have to have them. I ordered them from 123 Stitch. And they turned up yesterday, I think it was. I was like, oh, look. But then I was thinking, oh, but now I've got to order the threads for it. And it just so happens that the thread that it calls for is Dinky Dyes. And I'm like, yeah, that's expensive. So I'm like, okay, well, we might need to wait for payday for that one then. Because with the amount of money that I'd spent already. So obviously I haven't done my monthly update, which is going to come, when is it? I'll probably do it the last day of the month or the day after. It'll be somewhere around there. I'll get it uploaded, where I go over all my new goodies that I've purchased, because I've been on a bit of a rampage with the spending. But one of the things that I really did want to get, I really did need to get, is this little stand that's attached to the table, because for me to do my stitch with me's without it shifting and moving, and to be able to get the camera almost directly overhead, this was the best solution. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still, you know, my little Velka Patoki desk stand is still amazing, but that's probably better for me for when I'm going on my retreats, or I'm traveling with it, or I'm sitting in bed with it, because I can just pick it up and move it wherever I like. But this, on the other hand, as long as I've got a desk or a table that I can attach it to, it's really, really good for sort of this sort of thing, where I'm sitting here stitching and I'm chatting with you, because none of it moves, and it's not on the desk. It's hanging over the desk, if you like. So yeah, so needless to say, this was a little pricey for what it is, I'll admit. But if you sit and stitch up at a table or a desk, it is amazing. I mean, at first I was a bit like, not sure. But now I've got it, and I've used it, and I'm using it. You know, and you're just like, yeah, that works really well. So, I mean, you'll see it. I'm going to share it all on my next update. But I have just been spending so much money on stitching, although I haven't even sort of, I mean, other than buying some equipment, let's say, like the new charts, it's not even like I've started them. It was just that I really, really wanted them. I mean, once I get the threads for them, then I will make a start on them. But then it's the threads, and then I've got to sit there and think, well, okay, what fabric am I going to use? You know, and then we go down this whole other rabbit hole. So yeah, needless to say that being off work, and to the point that I can't just, you know, go off out or go and play in the garden or do anything like active, I have found that it's been very easy for me to just sit and watch Flosstube, and then all these things that I'm seeing, I'm like, oh yeah, oh, I want one of those, oh, that'd be good. And then I have this lovely lady, Jo, and she knows who she is, who does love to send me little messages on Messenger of all these new little goodies that she finds or creates, and before I know it, she has me down the rabbit hole with her. And you know, when it's just like, now whenever she pings me on Messenger, I'm like, oh no, don't look at it, because she's going to be trying to excite you with something. And it works every time. Totally works. But yeah, I need to have a little bit more willpower, because otherwise I can see me going crazy. I mean, bearing in mind that, I mean, I'm off work now. I've got 3 more weeks of not being able to move at all. And then I've got another 6 weeks after that of only partial weight bearing and sort of getting back on my leg properly. So we're basically saying that, you know, my life won't go back to normal where I'm back to work and, you know, engrossed in everyday life until the 27th of September. I can't afford to keep spending the sort of money that I've been spending. Not if I want to get my loft conversion finished. And, you know, bearing in mind that the loft conversion includes a new dressing room and a new ensuite. Yeah, no, I need to show some self-restraint. But I just have found it very easy to just fall down a rabbit hole with it all. And to be honest, in my own defence, and this is how I sell it to myself, so, you know, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I sell it to myself that, you know, I've gone months and months and months without spending anything on stitching. Nothing. You know, I mean, bearing in mind, most of my projects are all big. I mean, if you look at them, it's long dog sampler, they're all HAEDs, so they're all just, you know, lots and lots of floss, but they were all purchased and already started. The chatelaine, that was already bought and that was being worked on. So yeah, there's very little stitching stuff that I've bought in months. So in my own defence, I'm like, well, even if I've spent a lot of money this month on stitching stuff, my way of sort of allowing that for myself is, well, you know, if you gave yourself a stitching budget, let's say, on a monthly basis, all I've done is just accumulated a load of months of budget, in which case it shouldn't be a problem for me to be spending some money now, because that's all them months that I didn't spend any money on that I'm now spending it on. So yeah, that's sort of how I'm viewing it. I'm sure my husband would totally disagree, but see, this is it. Neither of us really sort of complain at the other one, because we both have hobbies. I mean, his racing is really expensive. So for him to go racing on a weekend, he spends hundreds of pounds just to go racing per weekend. So I'm like, well, if it's okay for you to spend hundreds of pounds going, you know, on a weekend racing, me spending, you know, the equivalent, maybe more, in 1 month when I haven't spent anything for all those months before. It's got to break us sort of somewhere even, I reckon. If not, I think my hobby's still cheaper than his hobby, because I have to stitch all mine, really, before I can go and get, or before I'll justify it to myself to go and get something else. So I am fairly good most of the time, but yeah. But just recently, this whole sitting around not doing much of anything has just made it so that I can't help myself. I've just gone spending willy-nilly. But then saying that, I do feel very accomplished. I mean, I honestly do feel like I'm accomplishing so much with my stitching. Just in this last 3 weeks, I've stitched more in these 3 weeks than I think I have all year, which just reinforces and reiterates to me that I need to be a retired woman. I need to aim my sights at early retirement. So I need to go and earn those pennies, save those pennies while I can now, so that I can retire early and enjoy it. But I don't know. You know, when you sort of sit there and think, if I retired and I retired early, would that mean that I would then need to budget and be super careful about how much money I spend? Because if that was the case, I'm not quite sure I'd enjoy retirement quite so much. I quite like knowing that I have the money to spend if I want to, and all the time that I'm working I can do that. But if I was to retire early, yeah, it would be a nice life, you know. I wouldn't have to worry about work and I could be a lady of leisure. But is being a lady of leisure enough if I'm going to have to be like, well, it's nice to be a lady of leisure, but I won't be able to do this and I won't be able to do that, and I'll only be able to go to maybe 1 stitching retreat or 2 stitching retreats in a year, and they'd have to be in the UK. I wouldn't be able to go abroad, and if we go on holiday I'd only have you see where I'm going with this? Yeah, see, there's a whole nother little rabbit trail there. So although I would love to be a retired woman and sit at home and just do my hobby and do the things that I love, the reality of it is I only actually like doing it because if I want to buy something for that hobby, I don't even have to question it. I can just go and do it. So, yeah. So I've just waffled the iron legs off a donkey. Are you all bored yet? And as you can see, we did all right. We made some progress. But I think on that note, I need to go off and do some tea, because it's 5 o'clock here. Or it's just coming up for 5 o'clock here. And I'm getting rather peckish. So I need to go off and do some tea, but I managed to get some stitching done. Not quite sure what that is there. Let me zoom you out again. Yeah, this is all a bit weird. I'm hoping that this all sort of mingles and merges better as it comes across, but I don't know. I don't quite know what to make of this. What do you think? Does it look right to you? There, what do you think? Maybe it'll be fine and it'll all look right further down I get. I have no idea what's in this area. I think there's some more moon now. But I think this just comes across and then meets. What does it do? Oh, it's falling off the table. Let's have a look. What have we got? So we've got the little moon. I've got that. So this is this bit here, which means this bit here must be sort of this bit here. I don't know. Well, I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. I just need to get a stitch on. But then saying that, I think I'm going to switch this one out today. Maybe. Oh, I don't know. I am actually really enjoying this one because it is 10 stitch and it moves really quickly because it's all blocky. And to be honest, I think I'm getting a little worried as to what this bit is. I want to sort of get it over here so I can see how it transitions and whether I'm okay with it. Maybe that'll be a discussion on my monthly update in a few days' time. So yeah, watch this space, people. Well, thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for putting up with my waffling. And now I'm going to go and make some tea. And hopefully I'll do some more stitch with me's, and this will all get a little bit easier to talk to no one, but actually talk to people. Live streams are so much easier. Maybe I'll do more live streams, but I can only do that as long as I haven't got a blue hue over my windows. So wish me luck, people. So until next time, again, thank you so much for your support as always, and bye bye for now.